Hi Tejas. How are you? Welcome back again. We've spoken before, and it was a wonderful session that we did on credit cards. People loved it a lot, and it was a great session wherein the basics. You captured the basics very well, right? And so today we are going to discuss something different, right? So different because a lot of people don't know about it, and it is a very difficult subject when it comes to credit card rewards and air miles. We are going to discuss air miles. Before that, how have you been, and what have you been up to?
Hi Neeraj, thanks for inviting me once again. And yeah, I'm all good. Things are going well and getting back to normalcy after the whole COVID scenario. So that's a good sign, I would say. Things opening up, and in between, I did a trip to Bali. Also,
Okay.
probably you would have seen some of the highlights of that. So yeah, it's finally getting back to normalcy. That's what I would say. So yeah.
So Tejas, we will discuss air miles today, right? Dome will
Yeah.
focus on what are air miles. We will talk about how to accumulate them. Are they equivalent to a currency? What are the different types of air miles? But before that, tell us more about your recent trip wherein you took your entire family to Bali in business class, and that too through air miles.
Okay, so this was a pretty exciting redemption. First time taking the whole family in business class using Airmiles. So yeah, that was the whole planning. Of course, the plan was pretty simple. It's just that the COVID scenario was just prolonging it a little too much. So finally, when in the month of March, when countries started opening up, for their borders. I mean, majorly without quarantine. That was my first requirement. So we decided that okay, now that the quarantine requirements are going out, this is a good time to plan the trip. Maybe testing will still be required, but decent enough. So probably middle of March, I was keeping an eye on Bali. It was always one of the top destinations in my mind to go to, purely because we needed a destination for relaxation and a beach destination for relaxation. So it was already on top of my mind, keeping an eye on it. The moment I saw the news that the quarantine requirement has been removed for the first 10, 11 countries, I knew, the next step, this is going to open up very quickly because, countries struggling with tourism, honestly. So the moment I saw it, I started looking at the award seats and stuff. There's a lot of stuff that you see when it comes to Air Miles redemption, but in a very very short way, I would put it that these are I converted my HDFC Infinia reward points into Singapore Airline Air Miles, and then use those Air Miles to book three business class tickets for me and family, and pay about 13,000 rupees in taxes total for three business class tickets.
And
And this was on Singapore Airlines.
what was the value of these tickets? That you redeemed for miles.
So, okay, the business class ticket revenue cost would be somewhere around 4.5 lakhs for three tickets. 1.5 lakh per ticket is generally a return business class fare. So,
Wow, that's awesome. So you only paid 13,000 rupees in cash for
right.
4.5 lakhs worth of benefits. So Tejas, let us start with the basics, right? What are air miles, and how does this whole thing work?
So basically, air miles is airline currency. Okay, just like every country has their own currency where the locals, deal in that currency. Air miles have the frequent flyer programs, is what the terminology is, where you frequently fly a certain airline and then they give you back certain air miles as part of their loyalty program, and that's basically their currency that they are giving you. And once you've accumulated a decent number of air miles, you could use it for say a free flight, depending on how the air miles, the number of air miles requirements are. So it's in a simple term, it's airline currency that airline is paying you. I wouldn't say paying you as a gesture of loyalty, they are giving it back to you in terms of their currency.
So, do these airlines carry any value, in the sense, the currency that you mentioned, the currency issued by countries carries a value, right? Similarly, do these air miles also carry any value, or are they, just a fancy gift given by airlines?
So, okay, this is a very tricky question. I mean, if you ask me, yes, they carry a lot of value, but no, in the market, if you're going to try and encash it, no, you're not going to get any money out of it. It's basically value in terms of using it for your travel. You could book a flight. Some frequent flyer programs allow you to book even hotels using those air miles, or maybe you take some gifts if you're not able to travel, and you have a smaller number of air miles. You could use it for gifts, but the best use is always towards travel. And I would definitely say it holds value for the user, but not in the market. For the user, it holds value in terms of using it for travel.
Okay. And do all airlines issue these air miles, or is it specifically limited to some airlines?
So most of the airlines globally have their own frequent flyer programs. So almost every frequent flyer program air miles attached to it, and they will be giving you air miles as part of the loyalty program. Frequent flyer program, nothing but a loyalty program of the airline, just like how we see loyalty programs of different categories of merchants. So if the airline has a frequent flyer program, they will be having air miles associated with it, and if you fly regularly with them, you will be earning air miles, and or you can use these air miles to redeem against them.
Okay. And let us take the example of Singapore Airlines, which you recently flew, right?
Yeah.
So, how does this whole system of air miles work with Singapore Airlines? As in, how do I earn these air miles firstly? And then when it comes to redemption, what kind of redemptions can I make, and what kind of redemptions should I think about making?
Okay. Okay. So I think the most simplest way of earning that everybody knows is you fly an airline, you earn air miles on that airline. That's the most simplest way of knowing. I think almost everybody must have heard the name Jet Privilege earlier. Jet Privilege was one of the biggest programs in India earlier. Now it's of course Jet Airways is not there. So it's that way with Singapore Airlines. So Singapore Airline miles is called as KrisFlyer miles. So every time you fly with Singapore, I'm just starting with the basics that if you fly with Singapore, you will be able to earn KrisFlyer. Of course, there are other ways of earning it. The other ways would be if you're flying even with any of their partner airlines. They have their own 5 6 partners. They have their sister airline like Scoot. Scoot is the sister airline. You fly with them, you can earn. You fly with Vistara, which is a part owned by SIA at the Singapore Airlines. You can earn KrisFlyer miles, and even if you can fly any of the Star Alliance partners, you could credit the air miles earned into your Singapore Airlines account by giving the Singapore Airlines frequent flyer. So these are ways of earning air miles through flying. Okay, now I get a lot of questions. Okay, I don't fly often, so how is this going
Correct.
to be useful for me? I do maybe maximum one trip in a year or one trip in 2 years. So this is of no use to me. This is where the major lack of knowledge for air miles is. Now here comes the non-airline partners into picture where you can earn uh, the air miles pretty quickly. Okay, and then this the major contributor is credit cards.
Okay.
The credit cards that we use, many of the credit cards have airline as partners for transferring their reward points into air miles or converting the reward points into air miles. Okay, so that is the one major source that you come across. Next up, there will be if you go to their website and look at other partners, there will be some other partners also, like there could be some specific brands where if you're purchasing, you just put your frequent flyer number, frequent flyer program number, and the purchase would also qualify for you to earn some air miles. So these are called as the non-airline partners. Again, one of them is non-airline partners. So this is also one way. Then there's affiliate websites. Like I can tell you, when I was booking some of the sightseeing tours for Bali, and I was checking a couple of sites. Klook was one, and Viator was another website. And Klook actually had a tie-up with Singapore Airlines, where if you go to Klook website via the Singapore Airlines link, you actually earn Singapore Airline miles again on those spends also. So this is also one way of earning. So the goal is always to target earning air miles in a specific airlines, so that you can combine those air miles from different sources, and then you can redeem it for your free flights, despite not being a frequent flyer. Okay, the term frequent flyer program actually confuses many people that, okay, this is not for us because it's
Okay.
a frequent flyer program. So we are not frequent flyer. So this is a more of a myth buster that frequent flyer programs is really only for frequent flyers. No, and even a common non-flying person can utilize these frequent flyer programs for their benefit. So this is the way of earning air miles. Now on credit cards, lot of again some myths that you have to spend on luxury only, then you'll be earning these reward points. And even that's not true. You could earn these. It's simple. You're earning reward points in every transaction, and those reward points are getting converted into air miles. So basically, you could earn air miles on even your bill payments, your insurance premium payments, and stuff like, just like how we discussed in our earlier earlier video, where you not necessarily have to use your credit cards only for luxury purchases. So same thing applies over here, and you can convert your reward points into air miles.
Okay, so when, say for example, we have accumulated a decent amount of Singapore Airlines Krisflyer miles. Now, how should I think about redemption? Should I redeem it for economy tickets, premium economy, business class, first class? How do I maximize my value out of these air miles? Right. Firstly, that, and secondly, do these air miles expire? Do I have to make a redemption in the near future, or can I keep them, hold them for long term, and redeem them later?
Okay, so I'll talk about the expiry part first. I'll come to the redemption slightly later. Basically, each frequent flyer program has a separate validity. Some have a fixed validity of 2 years, 3 years. Some have a validity that depends on your activity in that frequent flyer account. Where if you do any kind of activity, then again the validity of the existing miles get extended by a certain number of months. And then there are some programs which do not have any expiry. So there are differences across these different programs. But okay, let's take a case of Singapore Airlines over here. It has a validity of 36 months. The month in which you earn the air mile, you have 36 months from that date as the validity of the air mile. So I think 36 months is a fairly good time to earn your air miles to different sources, and 36 months is in a way that you could book your flight in 35th month, which could be probably another 10 months out. So you could still get about 45 to 48 months of validity with that air miles.
Okay.
So this is specific to Prisflyer I'm talking about. As I said, other programs have a different set of validity. Prisflyer does not have the option to extend the validity because it's already giving a good 3 years plus another 11, 12 months of booking span to for the validity. So this is on the validity part. Now on the redemption part. Now, okay. Honestly, I am a firm believer to utilize air miles more so for luxury travel, because that is where you would get a value. Because I earn most of my air miles from the credit card reward points. I don't travel frequently myself. It's only the annual vacation or probably once in a year official travel. That's where I'll be earning. That's the only thing that I will be traveling. Otherwise, all my air miles earning from come from the credit cards. Now, in this credit cards, you have the option of using your points directly for flight bookings via the travel portals of the credit card company, or you could convert it to air miles and then use it on uh, the airline website for booking a flight. Now, whether to book economy, business, or first class. Now, this honestly, if you look at most of the programs, I know there are programs which even give value in economy also, but most of the programs would always give you a good value in business class or first class redemption because it gives a much higher value. Of course, the value is a perceived value that we're looking at. But if you want to book an economic class ticket, I would always advise that you were better off booking directly from the credit cards rewards portal than converting it to air miles. For business class and first class, you would most likely see that the points requirement via the air miles route would be much lower than doing it on the direct redemption on the credit cards travel portal. So the basic thumb rule I would say is utilize air miles more so for business class or first class. Only in extreme cases where probably you're traveling on a busy time of the year where the flight rates are generally higher than normal. That is when you could utilize air miles even for economy class redemptions also. Again, it's each individual's choice because some you could be earning air miles through flying also. If you're earning air miles through flying, then probably even any economy class redemption would make sense because you've majorly earned it from flying in a particular airline. So it's very subjective. It's a very person specific decision to make as to which is a better option. But honestly, if you ask me, 9 out of 10 times you would be better off using it for business class or first class
So,
redemptions.
so that's a very good perspective here that there is always higher value in business or first, right? So, can you give us an example? Just take us through the whole cycle of earning these credit card points and then redeeming them on the redemption that you did recently. Just explain us how much did you spend? We can just take an example of 100 rupees and convert it the earnings on this 100 rupees on a credit card and then convert it into a mile and find out the value. If you can just run us through that whole cycle.
Okay, that's going to be a little difficult, but yes, I'll still try because almost accumulation of 18 to 20 months of usage.
Okay.
Okay, so mine was majorly on the HDFC Diners Club Black Card. I started sometime in May 2019 accumulating. That's when I got hold of my Diners Club Black Card. And at that time, HDFC Smart Buy was quite lucrative in terms of the reward rate. So, the the highest earning possible was 33 miles per 100 rupees, which is a significant amount. And the regular one, of course, it was 3.3 miles per 100 rupees for the regular transactions. Now, okay, considering the extreme case scenario is also not the best thing to consider always. So I would say somewhere about 15 to 16 miles per 100 rupees was the earning for a majority of the 18 months that I'm looking at because I got upgraded to the Infinia probably another 15 months down the line. So 15 to 16 miles per 100 rupees. And my miles requirement for the three tickets was 2.34 lakhs. Now
Okay.
again, okay, this was a combined effect. One was this higher earning from the credit cards, and I use the bonus air miles offers. Airlines often come up with their bonus offers for transferring points into their account.
Okay.
So Singapore ran a couple of offers in the in the 2020 in 2020 and 2021 both. On the first offer it was 10% bonus, and the second offer it was 15% bonus.
Wonderful.
So this is what helped me bump up my miles earning even further. So I didn't need to accumulate the whole of 2.34 lakh SDFC points. I managed it with about 2.1 lakh points itself. Okay, so if you're looking at 2.1 lakh points, I would still say about 18 months the spends would be close to uh, say how much, 15%, 2.1 lakh is
Around
15%,
12 to 15
12 to
lakhs.
15 lakhs,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
12 to 15 lakhs, which was my expense across 18 months I'm looking at. And that's what gave me three business class tickets.
So,
And
so a value of almost 30 rupees per 100 rupees spent.
almost, yes,
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. It's really, even if someone can get 15, 16 rupees value, it's much more than what you
absolutely.
earn through investing your money, right? So it's an amazing value that you've been able to generate. So, circling back to frequent flyer programs, how should one think about frequent flyer programs? Which are the major frequent flyer programs across the world? And how should one narrow their focus to a particular frequent flyer program?
Okay, so honestly, there's hundreds of frequent flyer programs across the world. The more you look at it, the more confusing it will get. So my way of focusing is focus on the frequent flyer programs that come on your credit card, the
Okay.
credit card that you own. Okay, just go to the redemption portal. There will be a tab where travel or air miles or something. There will be a tab. Just go and check whether that card offers a conversion of its reward points into a frequent flyer program, and which frequent flyer program it offers to. In India, there are about four major card issuers which allow conversion of credit card reward points into a full service carrier uh, airline frequent flyer program. Basically, it's HDFC, Citibank, American Express, and Axis. Of course, HSBC is also there, but the earning rate is quite slow on HSBC. So five card issuers is what we're looking at, which allow conversion of the credit card reward points into Airmiles. So now go to your rewards redemption portal, check what are the options. The major options, common options across these cards would be on the domestic side, it would be Club Vistara. And on the international side, it would be Singapore Airlines, or maybe then the next set of options would be British Airways, or Emirates should be there. Of course, when I say card issuers, I missed the part where there are co-branded cards. There are certain co-branded cards also which are for a specific airline from a card issuer. Those come a little a later part, not to jump too much into it, because that already needs a certain level of knowledge of air miles first, then get into the co-branded card, because you're tying yourself up with a specific airline miles. So unless you're well versed with that airline miles, I wouldn't suggest anybody to go to the co-branded cards of the international. Vistara co-branded cards are a different story. We'll come to that in some time, but always stick to first the non-co-branded. If you want to get into the air miles, first look at the regular cards, and then once you're comfortable with it, only then look at the co-branded. So this is how you actually know which programs to focus on. The major ones, as I said, Singapore Airlines, British Airways, and Etihad, Emirates, the Virgin Atlantic, Cathay Pacific. Again, there's I think 14 or 15 different frequent flyer programs where we have direct access to. That is, credit card reward points can be directly converted into uh, the air miles of that frequent flyer program, and another 25 to 30 frequent flyer programs where there is an indirect access. Indirect access meaning you've converted into a certain loyalty program like Marriott Bonvoy. Amex is the only way where it can be converted into this two-step conversion. I think City also possible with IHG as the partner. I'm not 100% sure of the conversion rate, but Marriott Bonvoy is one of the highest partners, has the one of the highest partners. So close to 25 airlines indirectly can be converted via Marriott Bonvoy route. But again, that's a little on the more knowledgeable side. I would first focus on the basic air miles that are available, air miles redemption available. Only then go to the Marriott Bonvoy route at a later.
So on the credit card side, you mentioned American Express, HDFC, Axis, Citi, and some of the other co-branded cards. Now, I believe that HDFC only has one partner, a transfer partner, right? And similarly, Axis also seems to have only one transfer partner. I correct me if I am wrong. So and most people don't have American Express and Citi cards today. So and American Express is not even issuing cards as of today, right? So how do people work around this?
Uh, okay, HDFC, yes, they have one partner on the full service carrier side. They
Okay.
have Vistara as a second partner, but Vistara sadly not yet a full service carrier internationally. They have few international flights already in place, which can be redeemed using Club Vistara points. But yeah, two major options: Club Vistara and Singapore. Intermiles is there, but honestly, Intermiles is something I definitely not advise converting your HDFC points. Even in the worst case scenarios, you'll rather be better off taking Amazon vouchers than converting to
Or you spending it on
Intermile.
smart buy.
Right, exactly. Okay. Now on the Axis side, no, it's not a single partner. With the launch of Axis Atlas, they've come up with almost five, six partners. If I remember correctly, Turkish Airlines, United, um, and a couple of other partners are there. I don't remember immediately right now, but United and Turkish, these are the two major Star Alliance members that have come up on Access, which opens the door to almost 26 different airlines using the Star Alliance
Okay.
network. So yes, they have, of course, Club Vistara is there, no doubt about it, and Air Asia on the domestic side. These two are there, but these two are these are not a well-established frequent flyer program internationally, so I wouldn't count them. Would rather focus on the likes of Turkish and United from Access. So yes, these two options are there. Citibank, I think everybody knows by now that Citibank is being taken over by Axis, but I think
Correct.
that's still about 6 to 8 months away. So if you have Citibank, Premier Miles or Citibank Prestige credit card, they have close to 14 partners, 14 conversion partners. Sorry, make it 12 because of the recent change. They have dropped a couple of partners from their list, but they have 12 different partners available on the list. So that is also third option. Amex, unfortunately, is under the RBI ban, and honestly, I really look at it as a sorry state of uh, credit cards scenario right now, especially for air miles
Hmm.
enthusiasts. The
Hmm.
options are very low right now, and I'm just hoping that the Amex ban lifts quickly, and you know that option opens up for everybody who's interested to get into air miles, because they do have about seven partners. So if you already have Amex, go take a look into the rewards portal. There are seven different Air Miles redemption partner.
Okay.
And all of them, except Club Vistara, all of them are full service carriers that are there.
So, between international frequent flyer programs and domestic frequent flyer programs, someone who barely takes an international flight and but takes lots of domestic flights, are there any programs in India which he can focus on, or the only the international ones are lucrative?
No, honestly, the domestic ones are also lucrative. Again, domestic and international. From an Indian perspective, yes, anything other than Vistara. I mean, we have two major ones right now. Vistara is one, and the Air India Flying Returns is the second program. I'm pretty sure not many would have heard of the Air India Flying Returns
Yeah.
program because it's probably one of the most complex programs to understand in terms of redemption. Even I have broken my head on it, and it's just quite irritating. I'm just hoping that they give it a good facelift soon. But Vistara is a fairly good domestic program, uh, I would say. But the problem with Vistara is it helps majorly uh, people who are in say, based out of Mumbai and Delhi because of the connectivity from these two cities. The other cities don't have too much of connectivity of Vistara. So if you're going to focus on Vistara, either if you're in Mumbai or Delhi, it's a good program to focus on. Probably some of your domestic travels could get free by utilizing Club Vistara points. If you're somewhere outside of these two cities, you probably have to reach the airport, reach one of these airport, or you will have to take a hop over flight wherein you'll be giving out a little more uh, Club Vistara points or air miles, as we call it.
Sure.
So, yeah.
So now, coming to another area where I generally struggle is these networks of airlines, right? Say Star Alliance, for example.
Yeah.
So how are these structured? How many networks are there? Can you just run us through the entire story here, and from the basics, right? Who is managing Star Alliance? How why was this created? If you have any idea.
Okay, so that's a little tough question for me to answer, but okay, I can answer the major alliances that
Okay.
are there. Okay, globally, three major alliances. There are a couple of smaller ones also, but three major alliances. I think these cover close to 95% of the flights globally.
Sure.
Star Alliance is one, the One World Alliance is the second one, and the Sky Team Alliance is the third one. So if you look at our airline partners that we have on our credit cards, they are majorly focused on the Star Alliance partners and the One World Alliance. Just recently, I think if I remember correctly, Air France has been added as a partner on Access Atlas. Um, this is I think so because there was some discussion, and I was reading somewhere that with SkyTeam now we could get access to SkyTeam also, but that's only a one-off case right now. At least the likes of HDFC City has, sorry, yeah, City has it, and Air France has the option. But yeah, these are the three major alliances. How it works is basically this is kind of a mutual agreement between these airlines to form an alliance. But
Okay.
I don't know how these alliances are managed. Honestly, I'm not into those things. So uh, I really can't answer your question as to who manages these
That's okay.
these alliances
That's okay.
and
We'll find
stuff.
out.
Yeah, I mean, you gave a good point. I'll probably be doing some digging after this,
Hmm.
yeah, on this subject also. But yeah, so these alliances work in a way that you won't be able to first. Let me make this very clear. Even if these are alliances, you are not able to transfer your points between airlines.
Okay.
Each airline has their frequent flyer program. You earn air miles in their frequent flyer program in some way, that from the ways that we talked about earlier. And then you could use this to either book the same airline where you have the air miles or any of the alliance member airline flights
Okay.
also. Okay,
So they have
all
a
of this. Sorry,
sorry, sorry, I was, just sorry to interrupt. So
no
do they
problem.
have some sort of conversion ratios wherein, say for example, if I'm earning Flyer miles and if I want to fly another Star Alliance member flight, then how do I redeem this as these Flyer miles? And how
Got it.
does the valuation work out there?
Correct. So there's no I can't really call it as conversion ratio. As I said, the air miles cannot be transferred.
Okay.
These are just the air miles requirement, or the mileage requirement that we talk about. So each airline would have, of course, there are different types of mileage charts, but in a more simpler way. Let's take the example of Singapore Airlines only, because we've been talking a lot about
Hmm.
Singapore Airlines. Now, Singapore Airlines works on a fixed mileage requirement chart. They're zone based. The whole world map is divided into different zones. And then from one zone to another, if you want to fly using Singapore Airlines flight, there will be a specific number of miles required for flying on, from one zone to another. Then there will be a mileage requirement for economy, business class, and first class, different miles requirement that will come. Now they will have another chart
Hmm.
which would be applicable for all of the Star Alliance members.
Okay.
So this will be slightly different. It won't be exactly the same way, but the same zone, at least in Singapore Airlines, they have done the same zone. Sorry, not the same zone. The zones on the Star Alliance are slightly different. Okay. Again, the world map is split into, I think, 10 or 11 different zones for
Okay.
Starlands network, and again a matrix type matrix is given, where from one zone to another, if you're flying on any of the Star Alliance carrier, you will require a certain number of miles to book a ticket. So uh, I hope I was able to explain this,
Yes.
this
Uh,
miles requirement.
yes. So now on the earning side, basically the idea now is that I should first figure out, within a network of airlines, which airlines would I be flying frequently, then
Right,
focus on earning miles on that airline, right? And also,
right.
if I'm flying another member airline, within the network, then can I earn the miles on, say, Singapore Airlines, or would I earn the miles on the same airline which I'm flying?
No, you could credit if you're flying on any of the Star Alliance member, just an example, you could credit it on any of the other Star Alliance partners. You need not necessarily, need not post it on the same airline frequent flyer program.
Okay.
Just an example, a very simple example, you're flying Vistara domestic, you could still post your miles being earned in Singapore Airlines, because Vistara and Singapore Airlines are partners.
Okay. And
Okay.
can I also transfer my Vistara credit card points to Singapore Airlines?
No, no.
Okay. Okay.
Because this is what I talked about, the co-branded cards.
Hmm.
The co-branded cards come with a condition that you earn reward points only in terms of those that merchant with whom the co-branded card has been launched. So if it's a Vistara co-branded card, you will only be earning Club Vistara points. These will not be reward points. This will be directly air miles that you will be earning into the air miles account. So once it's into the air miles account, you cannot transfer it to any other airline.
All right. Any other, I think we are at the end of our conversation now, but any other, important points or important things with respect to air miles that, our listeners should take note of?
Uh, Air miles is something that you will have to understand yourself. If you really want to get into it, this is not a subject that you will be able to just read it somewhere and apply it and do it. Okay, there are some programs, the very easy ones, which are very simple, like these, especially the domestic one. The
Yes.
Vistara program is fairly simple. You earn, you simply go log in into your Vistara account, search for the flight, and the to and from, I mean, destination and departure locations you search, and it will show you the CV points requirement, and it will, you can simply, if you have those number of CV points, you can simply uh, book the flight. That's all you have to do. But when it comes to the full service carriers, international flights, the scenario changes a little bit, and this is where you actually have to know a lot of details regarding air miles, and of course not just air miles, even airlines and how things work between airlines. Some basic knowledge is required. So Uh, it's a little, you know, uh, time consuming process, but once you know it, I think you will probably enjoy it, and the you will never be traveling the same way as you traveled earlier.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So,
I think along with that, knowledge of credit cards is also important, right? Because
of course,
ultimately,
definitely,
the
that's
major
your
number of
major,
miles are going to come from credit
correct.
cards. Uh,
That's your major earning source.
So, where should one start learning about, the air miles game?
Okay, this is a tricky one. Honestly, you actually have to visit the airline website, go through their details of how you earn. The earning part is simple. Redemption parts is the more important things. You have to go through their charts, how their charts are, redemption charts are, whether it's a fixed zone based chart or whether it's a the mileage based distance based chart, not mileage, but distance based. Some airlines have a distance based chart where they will give distance slabs, and between those distance slabs, if your flight comes, so then you need to know how to find the distance of of a specific flight. So there are other tools that have come up
Okay.
on these things, but this is how you have to go about. This will take, honestly, this is not an overnight thing. uh, this whole thing took me close to 3 years understanding, 2 to 3 years understanding the whole concept, and trying to come up to the level where now at least I know about say 25 to 30% of the whole air miles knowledge. I would still say 25 to 30%
Wow.
because there's a lot of stuff that still remains, and a lot of exciting stuff that can be done. And if you can manage your things well, who knows, you could be doing a round the world trip using air miles.
So, someone who is not really interested to, understand the air miles game, but wants to take a first class flight, can he, reverse engineer it, wherein, first he figures out where he wants to go, then figures out, which airlines fly to that
Okay,
country, and then work around it.
honestly, I think this is something that we did not talk upon, but that is probably one of the best approaches that you can do,
Okay.
because otherwise you will only be confusing yourself with no destination. And honestly, I would look at what my next top 2 or 3 destinations to go to are. Okay, what's the number of people that will be traveling, whether it's going to be a solo trip, family trip, how. Then look at what airline options are there, what would be the best mileage requirement out of these, and then which credit card suits me to earn those miles. So this is exactly the reverse calculation that you're talking about, and that's the exact approach that I do use. Even in my case, I would rather,
Awesome.
it's not like, okay, I'll keep on earning air miles from some or the other way, some or the other airlines, and then decide. No, because that's only going to scatter your air miles across different accounts, or maybe different credit cards, and combining it would be a difficult task. I think one thing that we missed mentioning, earning of air miles, why air miles becomes exciting is if you could combine the reward points across different credit cards. This is something that we missed mentioning. I have HDFC, I have Amex, I have HSBC, and I have Citibank. If I'm earning on the highest reward rate of each of these miles, each
Mhm.
of these credit cards, so that means I'm using such specific card for specific category only where it gives me the maximum number of miles. Then actually I'm earning air miles at a very fast rate, and then transfer from all of these 4 sources into a single Singapore Airlines account. So now instead of one credit card earning me points, I've actually made 4 credit cards make me earn points and transfer into a single account. So this is the key part of air miles.
Interesting. So, one last thing before we end. How important is status on airlines? If I have to fly business or first, is status really important?
No, I mean, the straightforward answer, if you're already flying business class or first class, you don't need a status. You get all of the perks anyhow as a business class fare. I flew business class. I didn't need to take out my credit card or my priority pass anywhere to even get the lounge access. My boarding pass was enough for me to get lounge access, and that too in the business class lounges,
Sure.
not the regular lounges or priority class lounges. Priority baggage, because I'm flying business class, anyhow I get a separate queue. I don't need a priority baggage or priority check-in and stuff like that. So
And
this is
excess
where
baggage for sure.
excess baggage, of course, that's
Yeah.
true. So when I looked at it, I am a Singapore Airlines Gold member through the last offer that was there by transferring Airmiles to become a Gold status member. But then when I was flying business class, that is the time I realized that the Gold status actually had no use because I was anyhow getting all
Sure.
of the perks that
Sure.
was there.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks, Tejas. So where can our listeners reach out to you? I know you have mentioned it before, but let us reiterate.
So right now I'm majorly active on Twitter, a little bit of Instagram, but majorly on Twitter. You could DM me on Twitter. The ID is Tejas Ghongadi. Same ID on Instagram. Uh, you know, and happy to help on DMs as much as possible. Although my DMs are now starting to get too busy, but I try to respond. Maybe a little delay in answering, but you'll definitely get a
Great,
reply
great service to
from me in a
the
9
larger
out of
crowd,
10
because I
minutes.
have myself learned a lot from you about credit cards and air miles. Even though I barely used my reward points for air miles, but I've definitely used them for luxury hotels. And I did
I've
share
seen
my I did share my experience with you and on YouTube as well, and which was
right.
a wonderful
Seen
stay.
that. I've
Yeah.
seen that Almaha
Yeah,
redemption.
and that
Honest,
idea came from you, to be very honest, to go there because I frequently travel to Dubai. So I thought that why not make use of this opportunity this time. So thank you for that. And, I look forward to our next conversation. We have a lot to talk about. So maybe we should do
sure,
definitely
sure.
once every 3, 4 months. Till then, thank you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Neither. Thanks for calling me.
Thank you.
It was